Dr. Elena Vasquez stood before the assembled representatives of 47 galactic civilizations, her weathered hands steady despite the magnitude of the moment. The Cosmic Technology Review Board had convened in emergency session after humanity's latest submission to the Galactic Patent Office, and the atmosphere in the crystalline chamber was thick with unspoken dread. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, activating the holographic display with practiced ease, "I present humanity's breakthrough in faster-than-light propulsion, the consciousness-linked reality displacement drive." The assembled aliens shifted uncomfortably in their various forms of seating. Ambassador Kreeth, of the stellar hegemony, whose species had mastered antimatter drives millennia ago, leaned forward with genuine interest. The ethereal collective's representative, a being of pure thought, housed within a containment field, pulsed with curiosity. "The fundamental principle," Dr. Vasquez continued, "relies on what we call observer-dependent reality manipulation. We discovered that consciousness itself can influence quantum probability states on a macro scale when properly amplified." A low hum of translation filled the chamber as alien languages processed concepts that had no equivalent in their vocabularies. The Zephyrians, masters of space-time folding, exchanged glances through their compound eyes. "Please elaborate," Dr. Vasquez requested the Tribunal of Nine, their collective voice resonating from 9 identical robotic forms. "How does consciousness interact with space-time in your propulsion system?" Elena's smile was the kind reserved for explaining simple concepts to children, though none of the aliens recognized the expression. "We isolate a human pilot in a specialized chamber and flood their nervous system with a cocktail of psychoactive compounds, primarily derivatives of dimethyltryptamine, psilocybin, and several synthetic consciousness-expanding agents we've developed." The chamber fell silent, except for the ambient hum of life support systems. "The pilot's perception of reality becomes malleable," Elena continued, seemingly oblivious to the growing horror on the faces around her. "While under the influence of these substances, they simply believe with absolute, unshakable conviction that the ship is somewhere else. The universe, unable to reconcile the contradiction between the pilot's certainty and physical reality, resolves the paradox by moving the ship to match the pilot's expectations." High Counselor Vexani, of the Peaceful Synthesis, rose slowly, her 6 arms trembling. "Dr. Vasquez, are you informing this council that humans achieve faster than light travel by driving their pilots insane?" "Oh, not insane," Elena corrected cheerfully. "Temporarily dissociative, with controlled psychotic episodes. The pilot retains enough cognitive function to navigate, but their grip on consensus reality becomes flexible enough to rewrite local space-time. It's quite elegant, really." The Crystalline Archives representative, an ancient entity that had witnessed the birth of 17 civilizations, spoke with a voice like breaking glass. "The implications of what you describe. Do your pilots survive this process?" Elena's expression finally showed a hint of discomfort. "Our survival rate has improved significantly. We're now achieving nearly 40% pilot survival on long-distance jumps. Short hops under 1,000 light-years have an 80% survival rate. These are acceptable margins for exploration missions." A collective shudder ran through the assembly. The Mercantile Coalition's trade representative, a being resembling a massive cephalopod, spoke through its translator. "You subject your own species to 60% casualty rates for the convenience of faster travel." "Well, we do use volunteers," Elena replied, as if this solved the ethical dilemma. "Our pilots are typically selected from individuals with pre-existing mental health conditions, schizophrenics, manic depressives, those with dissociative disorders. They seem to handle the reality displacement better than neurotypical subjects." The Galactic Ethical Committee's observer, present via quantum entanglement link from across the galaxy, materialized its avatar with visible distress. "Dr. Vasquez, what you're describing amounts to the systematic exploitation and destruction of your own species' mentally vulnerable population for transportation purposes. Elena looked genuinely puzzled. I'm sorry, but I don't understand the objection. Every technology requires sacrifices. You hegemony species strip mine entire star systems for antimatter fuel. The ethereal collective consumes the psychic energy of lower life forms to maintain their consciousness matrices. The Zephyrians fold space by creating microscopic black holes that occasionally devour small moons. She gestured to her holographic display, showing the technical specifications of the consciousness drive. Our method is remarkably clean by comparison. No environmental destruction, no resource depletion, minimal collateral damage. The only cost is the voluntary participation of humans who society had already classified as neurologically non-standard. High Arbiter Zeleth of the judicial synthesis stood, his towering form casting shadows across the chamber. The difference, Dr. Vasquez, is that we consume resources and energy. You consume souls. Souls? Elena laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the alien acoustics of the chamber. Respectfully, High Arbiter, that's a pre-scientific concept. What we're utilizing is simply the quantum observer effect scaled up through chemically enhanced consciousness states. There's nothing mystical about it. The transcendent minds, beings who had evolved beyond physical form, spoke directly into the minds of everyone present. She does not comprehend the horror of what she describes. To humanity, consciousness is merely another resource to be exploited. Elena's enthusiasm was undimmed by the growing revulsion around her. The drive system has already revolutionized human exploration. We've mapped 17 new sectors in the past year alone. Our expansion rate has increased by 4,000%. We're offering to share this technology with all council members as part of our integration agreement. The silence that followed was profound. Alien beings who had spent millennia in diplomatic discourse found themselves speechless in the face of humanity's casual relationship with existential horror. Finally, the ancient curator of the Eternal Archives spoke, their voice heavy with the weight of eons in our collective 40 million years of recorded galactic history. We have encountered species that destroy worlds, consume stars, and wage wars across dimensions. But never have we met a civilization that treats the fundamental essence of consciousness, the very basis of awareness itself, as a consumable fuel source. They paused, their ancient forms seeming to age further under the weight of this revelation. What you have brought before this council is not a transportation technology. It is an industrialization of existential horror. Dr. Vasquez looked around the chamber at the horrified faces, her expression shifting from enthusiasm to confusion. I think there may be some cultural misunderstanding here. Would it help if I explain the psychological screening process we use for pilot selection? We're very careful to ensure informed consent. The Tribunal of Nine spoke in unison, their mechanical voices unusually laden with emotion. Dr. Vasquez, the question before this council is not whether your pilots consent to their own destruction. The question is whether the universe itself can survive a species that treats consciousness as a raw material. As the session adjourned in unprecedented discord, Elena stood alone at the podium, surrounded by fleeing aliens, finally beginning to understand that humanity had once again solved a problem in a way that terrified the galaxy.